Welcome all to the Department of Energy's SBIR STTR Fiscal Year 2014 Phase 1 Release 1 Topics webinar. My name is Chris O'Gwyn and I will be moderating today's meeting. In just a moment you'll hear directly from Manny Oliver, the Director of the Department's SBIR STTR Programs Office. He'll provide you with some basic topics information as it relates to this release. Following Manny's discussion, you will then hear from many of the managers that oversee topics 16 through 28 as they will clarify their expectations and answer questions regarding their subtopics as received from many of you during the registration process. During this presentation, we'll take your questions via the on-screen chat text box at the bottom of your screen. So as you're hearing from these managers, please submit any topic-related questions you may have via this text chat box. And we'll group these questions, and then following each manager's presentation, we'll go ahead and read those to the managers, and they'll try to answer those as appropriate. Following the presentation, we'll go ahead and send you a link. If you are registered and if you're listening, then you will receive a link automatically to this recorded webinar. So let's go ahead and begin. Manny, would you like to go ahead and kick off?
Yeah, okay, thanks, Chris. Let's go to the first slide. As Chris mentioned today, I'll just give a short intro, just talking some basics about our DOE topics. There'll be 3 program officers represented today talking about the topics that are listed here that will take up most of the webinar. So next slide. Chris, are you going to? Okay, thanks. So first off, we are doing 2 Phase 1 releases this year, and these are grouped by the DOE programs that participate. For Release 1, we have 5 of the offices from the Office of Science, in addition to the Office of Defense, Nuclear Nonproliferation. And in Release 2, we have many of the applied programs in the Office of Fusion Energy Sciences. So I just wanted to point out the major change from last year is that the Office of Fusion Energy Science used to participate in Release 1, and they've moved to our second release. So if you're looking for their topics, they'll be coming out in October. Next. Here's a schedule for Phase 1 for this year for both of the 2 releases. Last week, the topics were issued. In mid-August, the funding opportunity announcement will be issued. So I wanted to point out, I know we've got a lot of questions coming in about more related to the number of awards and funding available, that type of thing. But we'll address those questions once the funding opportunity comes out, announcement comes out in mid-August. Again, today's presentation is mainly focused on the technical topics, and it's an opportunity for you to talk to the DOE program managers about what the scope of their topic is. We do have a mandatory letter of intent for those of you who are new to our program. Those will be due September 3rd. It's just an abstract that's required with that, but again, if you don't submit that, you won't be able to submit an application. And then our full applications are due on October 15th for Release 1. Again, with award notification early January, grant start date in February. Next. When the funding opportunity announcement comes out in August, we will also have a webinar for that. We'll discuss some of the changes for FY14 and answer any questions you have about the funding opportunity announcement. Again, any questions about how to apply and so on, that will be the appropriate place to bring those questions. Next. And so before we get to the topics, just want to give you some basics, some questions that we get. So the topics are prepared by the DOE program managers who are attending today. And their typical focus is to identify breakthroughs are needed in the mission areas in which they work. Again, some of the mission areas are fairly broad, so some of the topic managers or program managers rely on experts both in industry and on DOE national labs and so on. So they may not be able to address every one of your technical questions, but they will be able to get a response to you. The topics, as I mentioned, are organized by DOE Program Office. And for each of the topics, we do list the DOE Program Manager, and that's also broken down by subtopic. And again, the types of questions we're really looking for are really to, for those of you who are interested in applying, as to how to, for the manager to clarify the scope of what they're looking for. It's not really appropriate. Some people ask, should I apply? And it's really your decision as to whether to apply, based on what you hear about the scope of the topic and the technology that you're interested in developing. Next slide. So here's an example topic on the right. Apologize, a little condensed. This is actually one of our shorter topics. Most of our topics run 2 to 3 pages. And then one of the important things, if you're, again, new to our program, is the topic and subtopic number and letter. So you can see this is topic 7. There are 3 subtopics, A, B, and C. And when you submit a letter of intent or your application, you must specify your topic and subtopic. We will not attempt to look at your application and see where it fits best. You'll be administratively declined if you do not select that. So that's very important. There's also a header at the top which indicates the award amounts. Apologize, you can't read it here, but you can read it in the topic document. And we'll also, if you're interested in applying for SBIR, STTR, or Fast Track, it'll indicate whether we're accepting applications for all of those. As I mentioned, for each subtopic, there will be a contact person, given the typically an email address for you to ask questions, and please, use that. Feel free to ask questions today, but if you have questions in the future, please contact the program manager directly. We do have another subtopic for all of our topics. The intent here is for this to slightly broaden the scope. A lot of times we look for very specific breakthroughs, and if you have some other ideas that relate to the subtopics in the topic area but do not fit exactly in one of those subtopics, you can apply there. With regard to our history of making awards under the other subtopic, typically between 6 to 9% of the awards go out through that subtopic. So it's not just there for show. It's it does have has a purpose, and you can apply and receive awards. We also include references for many, but not of all of our topics. Those are really to help you come up to speed if you're not already knowledgeable in the field. And so we encourage you to use those as well. The program managers take the time to try to find the most relevant documents for you, so we encourage you to use that. Next. Last year we began incorporating technology transfer opportunities into our topics. And what these are intellectual property. These are typically issued patents or patent applications resulting from inventions at DOE labs or university, and as a result of DOE funding there. And when you apply to these, we're looking for you to take this intellectual property and perform additional R&D to drive it towards commercialization. In addition to getting a grant award, you will also get an option to license the technology at the time you start your grant. There's much more details on the first couple of pages of the topic document. If you are interested in applying to those, we would ask you that you review those pages before submitting an application. Next slide. Again, a technology transfer opportunity topic looks very similar. The one thing I did want to point out is that within each subtopic, there'll be some contact information for the national lab or the university. So this will be a personal contact, somebody at the tech transfer office, and in many cases there will be links to a specific page which describes the tech transfer opportunity. And as well as if a patent is issued or a patent application document is available, links to those as well. If you have any questions about the tech transfer opportunity itself, please contact the lab or the university that's involved. If you have any questions about your application and you're thinking of using this IP in some way and you're wondering if the program manager is interested in using, pushing in that direction, then contact the program manager about that. And I think we just have one more slide. And also want to point out, last year we started implementing fast track applications. These are a combined phase 1, phase 2 application. And again, there'll be more information about the requirements for what you need to submit for those in the funding opportunity announcement. And I would say that, again, these will be a much more challenging application compared to a phase 1 where you're typically looking for a 9-month grant. These would cover the 9-month phase 1 as well as the 2-year phase 2. You'll have to do a full commercialization plan that's required for the phase 2. Again, we don't expect a large number of applications under Fast Track. Last year, about 4% of the applications came in, and the award rate for Fast Track versus Phase 1 were similar. But again, for many of our projects where you're doing a very exploratory or maybe high-risk type Phase 1, where Phase 2 isn't well defined until you complete Phase 1, Fast Track is probably not a good path. So that ends my introduction. Again, if you have any questions, not specifically about a topic, please feel free to contact our office. Here's our website where we do post a lot of information for you to look through. But you can feel free to call us by phone or to email us if you have any questions about our program. From this point, I'll turn it back to Chris, and then we'll go through the individual topics we're going to cover today.
Thanks, Manny. And yes, if anybody has any questions that, as Manny mentioned, that are non-technical and not related to the topics, please hold off on asking those questions during this webinar. We will be having a webinar on the funding opportunity announcement when it opens up the week of August 12th. So stay tuned for that and look for an email invite to register for that webinar. If you do need to ask any questions that are non-topic related, as Manny mentioned, go ahead and give us a call at that phone number on your screen or shoot us an email. We'll be happy to answer those in turn. But for this go-around, for this webinar, we're just going to go ahead and focus on the topics. So we'll go ahead and move on to topic 16. We covered the first 15 topics in yesterday's webinar. So if you would like to hear anything in that regard, there will be a link on our website later this week that you can listen to those managers speaking about the first 15 topics. So topic 16, high performance materials for nuclear application. I believe we have Sue Leska on the line, and she's going to cover these subtopics for you. Sue?
Good morning. Thank you. So I think I'll start diving right into the questions that we've already received for this topic. The first is, what is the pathway for funding truly innovative, first-of-a-kind nuclear technology? And my first answer is through the SBIR program. That's exactly what this type of solicitation is designed for. The other program that we have that we put out a solicitation for within the Office of Nuclear Energy is the Nuclear Energy Enabling Technologies program. We put out a solicitation once a year. This year it's planning to be released around the October-November timeframe. The focus areas there are on materials, sensors for nuclear reactors, and advanced manufacturing methods for nuclear reactors. And if you want some more information on that, you can take a look at the website neup.gov, and that solicitation will be released on grants.gov as well once it comes out. The solicitation from last year is currently on neup.gov if you'd like to take a look at it. Let's see. The next question is more information on program changes. The main change that we have had relating to the SBIR solicitation is that in subtopic B we have added liquid fluoride salt-cooled reactors to the types of reactors that we're looking for materials development in. That's a reactor type that we did start. Some research had been done years ago on it. We picked it back up about a year and a half ago, and results have been promising, so we decided to add it to the SBIR solicitation as well. Let's see. Next question, is there any fixed percentage allocated to Fast Track? No, there is not, but as Manny's already discussed, it's due to the nature of the research, it is kind of hard to I imagine it would be hard to develop the Phase 2 before the Phase 1 is done, since this is very generally pretty high-risk research. But there is no fixed percentage allocated to Fast Track. The next question, it just says electrical storage technology. I'm guessing the question is, are we interested in electrical storage technology? For this topic, no, we are not. Perhaps in the energy efficiency and renewable energy, those folks tend to cover the electrical storage technology, so perhaps they will have a topic in that area. But no, it would not fit under this topic. The next question is asking for general knowledge. For general knowledge, I'd recommend you take a look at the references that we have for topic 16. There are several websites there, as well as links to reports and papers that have been done, and I think that would give you a good general knowledge and a background in our programs. And actually, there's a lot of pretty detailed knowledge that we have on those websites and in those papers. Next one is, how do we get in touch with the leader of the project? As you see on your screen, the subtopic managers and their email addresses are listed, myself and Bill Corwin. Please feel free to contact us at those email addresses. We'd be happy to talk and answer questions with whatever your questions are. The next question is more insight into the specific technology needs. For that, I'd recommend, because this topic is pretty broad, as you can see by the slide in front of you, I would recommend that you contact either Bill or myself, depending on what your area of interest is, to talk more about any specific technology needs. Since I'm not quite sure if this person is more interested in the steels or ceramics or mitigation methods, I think that would probably be the most direct way to answer that question. And the last one is, can we talk to the program manager? And yes, absolutely. Drop an email to either Bill or myself, and we'd be happy to discuss.
Thanks, Sue. That, as Sue mentioned, she is a program manager, so yes, you can go ahead and shoot her an email, or Bill Corwin, based on the breakout by topic, by subtopic, as they have listed there. And you will find this on our website in the topics document. And for more general information, also refer to the references that are following each of these topics as well. So do some homework on that before you shoot off your question, and you'll more than likely get a well-rounded answer. There's one question here that we have time for. Sue, let me go ahead and read this to you. That was just texted in. Okay. Are you interested in large-scale production of oxide dispersion strengthened ODS steels or superalloys?
I guess that would be in production methods, and yes, we would. I'm guessing the focus here would be it's very expensive to develop ODS steels, and so it sounds like the question is, would we be interested in more efficient ways of manufacturing ODS? And yes, we would, and that would fall under subtopic A.
Right, and for a more specific answer, if it's necessary, they can still contact Bill Corwin.
Yes.
If they want to follow that up a little further. Yes. And I think that's it. Sue, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and move on to topic 17, which is atmospheric measurement technology. And I believe we have Ricky Petty online here. Ricky?
Yes, I'll give a brief overview. I have 3 program areas here of the 4 topic areas that we have under our topic. We are represented here. We are in the Climate and Environmental Sciences Division, which is part of DOE's Office of Biological and Environmental Research. Our topic areas in the Climate and Environmental Science Division covers topics 17 through 20, which are respectively the atmospheric measurement technology, which is associated with our Atmospheric Systems Research and ARM program, our Terrestrial Ecosystem Science program, which is associated with topic 18. We have the Regional and Global Climate Modeling program associated with topic 19, and 20 is the Subsurface Biogeochemical Research. Ashley Williams and myself are involved in the topic 17, we have Dan Stover and Mike Hooverberg who are involved with topic 18. Ray New Joseph is not present today, but any questions that anyone has for topic 19, I would be you can probably send her or Bob Valario a direct email making inquiries. And the same goes for David Lesmus. So starting with topic 17, the atmospheric measurement technology, they're broken into subtopics, and the first 3 subtopics are under my purview, and the remaining are under Ashley's area. And the first 3 topics we wanted to address UAV measurements, particularly in the Arctic. So therefore, we were requesting instrumentation, miniaturization to measure some of the typical species that we go after in terms of meteorology, looking at aerosols related to forcing, atmospheric forcing, as well as clouds properties, and mostly the items related to our science programs. And we also would like to look at methane and carbon dioxide measurements using these same platforms, because since our focus is being in the Arctic, we're interested in the changing conditions in that region that's attributable to the warming. And I'll let Ashley talk about maybe some of his subtopics as well.
Okay, I think Rick has introduced it. I say that this topic is largely related to interest either in the Armed Climate Facility or the Atmospheric System Research Program in our office. And the resulting measurement technology is to provide measurements that are illustrative of atmospheric processes that are climate relevant. In other words, we are making measurements in situ in campaigns at selected sites and long-term at fixed sites as described in our program documents. We are interested in technologies that push those measurements forward. And you notice from some of the subtopics that there's a key interest in our division as a whole on sensitive climate regions, and the Arctic is especially the one of high interest for this year. And the technology that we're focusing on trying to enable is measurements with small airframe devices, specifically unmanned aerial system devices. In other words, we're looking for miniaturized instruments and small footprint, small weight, low power, suitable for flying on these devices or on stationary balloon type of frames. The end point of all our measurements really is the improvement of climate models by better representation of the processes and better predictive relationships. So in terms of what we're looking to measure, cloud properties, aerosol life cycle or properties, or just cloud aerosol interactions, we're looking for better enabling technologies for us to get the measurements that can be used to develop predictive modules for climate models. Sort of the end point there. I can go to the specific questions that we've received so far. There's a couple that are more or less process related, which maybe I'll go over very quickly because they're probably not relevant. There's things like, can we apply to more than once per organization? I think the answer is yes for all SBIRs.
And that's correct. There is a limit on 10 applications per solicitation for DOE SBIR, so just keep that in mind.
Yes, you'll wear out our patience long before that. But you're not limited to a single one. Probably a more relevant question to topic 17. One applicant asked, we have a technology that can address more than one subtopic. As Manny mentioned, you must select a subtopic, and I would recommend you select the best fit If it's applicable to others, that will be considered in the reviews. And the questions about amount of funding, if they're available, the individuals up there on the screen, total funding, frankly, I don't know, so I can't address that. And then I should mention, as we get into detailed topics, there's some that I found hard to understand the relevance of. There's a topic question on biomass, agriculture energy solutions. Those seem to be not directed toward topic 17, and they may be misfiled. They would be non-responsive to this. So I'm just encouraging you to check the topic, read the FOA when it comes out, and read very carefully and take seriously the details on the topic material.
So Ashley, we do have a couple questions coming through here in just maybe another minute. So why don't if there's a relevant question that you've received during registration, maybe you can answer that, and then we'll go on over to the chat box and answer 2 questions from that.
Hey, let me give two relevant questions. One is probably popped up in the chat box. One asked what precision is required of the measurements. That's a relevant question, but it needs more specificity. I recommend you email me directly on that. And the picking one question that popped up in the chat box is subtopic E supposed to be an assay of all organic aerosol precursors, a representative subset. I can give you a general answer. No, it's not comprehensive. A representative subset may be okay, but I advise you to keep in mind the end use of the data. We don't have a list of compounds we're looking for. We're looking for things that help us in the modeling endpoint.
Let's go ahead and take a couple more. I think if you can read them.
Okay. There's dimensions about the UAVs. I recommend you follow up offline because I can't answer that right now. And then it just disappeared.
Okay. Do proposals need to address testing both CH4 and CO2? Any other species?
That's 19.
Oh, sorry.
Here's one for 17A. This wasn't.
Right.
That was for 17A.
We would like to mimic whatever measurement criteria that carbon cycle.
I think methane and CO2 were both mentioned, right?
No, we are not. You're not doing that. That's right. Okay. But I think the 1 hertz frequency was something that I think we put in as a requirement, and anything close to that is acceptable.
Okay, so and again, I apologize to all. We are going to try to take many representative questions as we can, but I think to keep the webinar from going on too long, we'll have to move on to the topic. If you didn't get your question answered, please submit them to either Ricky or Ashley directly.
So we're going to move on to topic 18 here right now. It's carbon cycle and related greenhouse gas measurements of the atmospheric and the biosphere. So I believe we have Mike Cooperberg here and maybe even Daniel Stover.
Thank you very much, Chris. This is Mike Cooperberg. I am here with Dan Stover, and we're going to give you a very quick overview of the program and our interests. Then I'm going to walk through 2 of the subtopics that I'm responsible for, and turn the floor over to Dan. And I think we'll pick up your questions as we go along that way. Dan and I are program managers for the Terrestrial Ecosystem Sciences program. Our goal is to improve the representation of terrestrial ecosystems in coupled Earth system models. That means developing a predictive understanding of how these systems work. And in general, what we're interested in is the cycling of greenhouse gases into and out of terrestrial ecosystems. So the measurement technologies that we have proposed in this call are directed at making advances in areas that we feel are underrepresented or technologized. I'm coming to a word that I'm trying to make up here in terms of being able to make these measurements. So the 2 I'm going to talk about are 18A and 18C. 18A is looking at portable technologies for ways to improve our ability to make measurements of flux in these systems. So we're limited right now in our ability to only be able to make measurements of CO2 flux, and we're looking for that comparable ability in nitrogen, argon, and oxygen. We think we've laid out the specs here pretty well for this. We think that with these capabilities, we could really come up with a much more advanced approach and a more sophisticated approach to making flux measurements in terrestrial ecosystems, which are currently limited by, those of you who are familiar with eddy flux technologies and CO2 measurements are limited in a number of ways for us to draw the conclusions we need to. So we're very much interested in that. The one question we got about 18A was the specifications for portability. In many cases, these measurements are going to be made in fixed, hardwired areas, so that the portability means that a person needs to be able to pick it up and carry it into the building and set it up. Hopefully someday we'll get to sort of an iPad-based app, but at this point we're looking for something, portability meaning it's carried by a normal human being and doesn't require trucks and cranes in order to get it into position and operate. Topic 18C is a similar topic, although it's focused on N2O and it's focused specifically on nitrous oxide measurements from soils. There's a real interest in nitrous oxide being a potent greenhouse gas and us not knowing a whole lot about its evolution from soils and being able to make measurements relatively quickly, inexpensively, and over large areas. So this topic is designed to do that. Before I turn this over to Dan, the other question that was directed to me was a question that said, how important are letters of support? I would answer that question as saying, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the reviewer, and the question is, if a person, a collaborator, is critical to your proposal, the reviewers are going to want to see commitment from that person to collaborate with you on the project. So if it's a cut and dried issue of having samples analyzed through a commercial laboratory, you don't need a letter of support, I wouldn't think in general. If there's a collaborator whose contributions are really important to making this project work, it's important that you have something that documents that person's willingness to collaborate with you. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Dan for the other two.
Okay, so for the remaining two topics are kind of focused again on soil-related processes. Topic 18B is the innovation improvements to root measurements. We know that roots are a poorly understood and characterized component of the carbon cycle and in terrestrial ecosystems. So this topic particularly calls out in a couple of options here of ways to refine our understanding of root systems and root ecology, including the advancing imaging collection. Traditionally, this has been done by mini risotrons, which are a little on the expensive side, so we're looking for a new low-cost camera design or automated acquisition system, as well as a way to automate image analysis from mini risotrons, which would be the second bullet there. There are two other areas of interest in the root ecology. This is looking at three-dimensional scaling of image analysis, so that kind of relates to topics 1 and 2. And subtopic number 4 there, which is looking at other non-destructive below-ground assessments. We know that in root ecology that there's been the serious hindrance to incorporating these processes are that all the measurements currently are destructive. And we're looking for other field-based equipment or measurement technologies such as ground radar, portable X-ray tomography, et cetera, that could be used to help us characterize root systems in the soil. And then moving on to subtopic D, which is innovative and improvement for in situ physical and chemical properties of the soil. This we're looking for, basically this is a sensor technology question, which we're looking to have technology innovation that improves our temporal and spatial resolution of soil properties. And the idea here is to try to combine multiple of these technologies in probes or sensors of some sort, which could be placed out into the field, that could be collected, that could take long-term measurements or maybe monthly measurements. It's not requiring you to actually dig the sensor up or to should require minimal operation or man involvement to work with these. These sensors should be rugged enough to be applied to various environmental conditions. And again, there's even a kudo point here if you can do something that would be wireless, that we could achieve multiple soil characteristics simultaneously. So this could be oxygen, pH, soil moisture, soil temperature, redox, microbial activity, biogeochemical, nutrient properties, etc. So with that,
did you have a question?
The only question that did come into me was what's the duration of the Phase 1 awards, and I think if I remember from what Manny said, it's 9 months. So.
That's correct. And I think I do see one question that might be directed toward you, Michael. It's for 18C, are there dimension restrictions?
No, there are not. These are 18C is anticipating an instrument that one could carry out in the field and make these measurements. But you know, within those reasons, again, I think it should be man portable would be the dimension requirements.
Great. And Dan, did you have any questions that were submitted that you had not addressed?
That was just, I only had one, and that was the duration.
Okay. Well, that's good. And if you do, anybody listening in, if you do have any other specific questions in regards to the technology on this topic, go ahead and submit them to either Michael Cooperberg or Daniel Stover as noted on your screen there. So let's go ahead and move on to topic 18, or move off of topic 18 to 19. And I believe Ricky Petty is going to jump in for the two subtopic managers that you see listed on your screen there. So if you have any specific questions in regards to these four subtopics under topic 19, I would submit these to both to one or the other of these subtopic managers. Ricky?
Well, as I mentioned before, the program management representation for these two topics, both 19 and 20, are not here. So what I would suggest is that you maybe send them an email for these questions, forward them to those areas because they are the expertise in those areas. I wouldn't want to speak for them in their technical, given technical areas, and I think they would be the best ones to be able to address those, whatever questions that comes about in those respective topics.
Okay, thank you, Ricky. So for topics 19 and 20, you will need to address your questions directly to those managers that are listed both in this webinar and on our topics document on the website. We will skip then to topic 21, and I will only note here that this is a technology transfer opportunity as mentioned by Manny, and this is in the biological and environmental research area, and it focuses on genomic science and related technologies. This webinar is not going to cover any of these TTOs, so what we do is we refer you to the actual topics document where you will find 26 subtopic descriptions underneath topic 21. And as mentioned earlier, the points of contact for those, whether it be at the laboratories or some research centers, they are all listed right there in the topics document. So please refer to that for topic 21.
Yeah, Chris, I'm just going to interject here for 21. First of all,
okay.
There was one question that came in earlier for topic 17 and 18. It was referring to, do we have any, basically a website for people interested in partnering and things like that. So in the SBR program, we do not have that directly. Again, I think in these program areas there have been, a number of awards in the past. So you certainly, I think, might want to search the SBR.gov website for past awardees under DOE topics in this area if you were trying to identify companies who have been active in, for example, atmospheric measurement technologies. There are a number of them out there if you'd like to contact them for partnering. With regard to topic 21, I just did want to add, we did get a general question in regarding is DOE actively pursuing alternate sources of high-quality sustainable biofuel? And I did get a response from the program manager. I'll read that off. And so DOE's Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy and the Office of Biological and Environmental Research and the Office of Science support research in a range of potential bioenergy crops from algae to switchgrass on microbes involved in the deconstruction and fermentation of potential bioenergy crops and on the production of next-generation biofuels by microbes. Research ranges from fundamental genomics to issues associated with potential commercialization. So there really are two programs in DOE, both the Biological and Environmental Research Group that's here today. I would note under topic 21, this is their topic. As you can see, they're a little more on the fundamental side. So the genomic basis for engineering microbes to do so that we can convert potential biofuel crops into fuels. And so most of the subtopics here, or the tech transfer opportunities in these subtopics, are from the 3 bioenergy research centers that are funded by the the Biological and Environmental Research Office. And so they range from labs such as Berkeley Lab, as well as some of the universities involved, such as the University of Wisconsin and Michigan State. So we would encourage you to look at that, look at those, and see if. And again, with TTOs, we're looking for you to leverage those inventions and drive those to commercialization. So, and again, John Houghton is Houghton is the program manager for this. If you have any general questions about the topic, you can contact him. His name is in the topic description as well. So if there are no other questions on from these set of topics, we'll move on.
Okay. Well, what we have here is topic 22, alternative radiological source technologies. We have 4 subtopics under there. And who do we have representing this question, this topic?
Catherine Romano.
Thanks, Catherine.
NNSA. So what I thought I'd do is try and discuss any questions that were sent in earlier. Let's see. One was what topic in DNN portfolio lends itself most to private sector support? And I would say these particular technologies that we're discussing in this call, anything that has to be commercialized. So these radiological replacement technologies are things that we need to make available commercially. Let's see. Okay, there aren't really any other questions that were specific to this particular topic. So basically, as far as the alternative blood irradiator technologies, there are some X-ray technologies being employed today. However, we are looking specifically for improvement in functionality, so reliability, cost of use, those types of things. So a general improvement in the functionality of these devices. The replacement for the radiography sources, radium-192, is basically, if you do a quick search, we're looking for gamma radiation or X-ray radiation in the 300 and 400 keV range for industrial radiology, or I'm sorry, radiography. So these are usually used to test welds and in construction processes to test material integrity. So they would need to be, of course, portable and low power. So a little bit of research in the uses, the specific uses of those would give you a good idea as to of the exact types of equipment that we're looking for. And for topic C, the optimized radiation detectors for well logging, this is pretty well spelled out. We need gamma spectroscopy and epithermal and thermal neutron detection at high temperatures and can survive high mechanical shocks and vibrations. So those are your primary goals. Detection for gamma radiation would go up to, say, 10 MeV as indicated in the, let's see, one of our references, I think it was reference 4 for subtopic C. Just is a very good description of some of the work that has been done in the past. And that's basically all I have to add.
We do have one question here on topic 22, and if you can answer that, wonderful. Is there an interest in CF252 or AMBE replacements?
Well, the californium-252 and the AMBE replacements For well logging really is not an issue at this point. There are some DT generators out there that are good potential sources at this point. So the need right now is to find the detection systems that can work with those sources.
Okay, very good. Manny, were there any other questions on your end there?
No.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, let's go ahead and move on to 23, topic 23, radiation detection.
Okay. And that will be, I will cover that topic also.
Right.
Let's see. I'm just pulling up the, there was one question specific to this topic about energy resolution. Is there a desired spec for cesium-137 energy resolution for 23A, which is the high purity germanium detectors? So ideally, we'd like to have the same resolution, less than 1%, that that the high purity germanium detectors in existence now have. So we don't want to degrade that resolution. So that's the ideal goal. I haven't been able to read up enough on the progress so far in some of these detector systems as to whether they've been able to do that or not. But it does talk a little bit further down in the paragraph under 32A. It talks about the high rates requiring short shaping time, so that the short shaping time will interfere with your resolution. It'll degrade the resolution. So ideally you have to design the detector for the shorter shaping time. So that's discussed there. So again, ideally we would like to keep the resolution about the same. So the Section A, I would say, is pretty self-explanatory here. We want high purity germanium detectors that can provide a high rate. So and that can possibly do imaging. On topic B, scintillator-based radiation detectors for emergency response. Again, the ideal here is something that can be brought out into the field with energy resolution, preferably to be able to discriminate gamma rays and thermal neutrons, and to have a better resolution than what's already in the field. So we want to add a spectroscopic capability to our in-the-field detector systems. There are several systems already out there, and Dave has provided some references that you can look at. And other, topic C, anything that can improve, or any type of detector system that we didn't specifically call out that can improve our detection capabilities. We like neutron spectroscopy, and along with gamma spectroscopy, and something that's portable and light and easy to use in the field.
Would that include coincidence, multiplicity, neutron counters?
No, we're talking about the types of things that people, for the most part, well, I can't say no because I'm not Dave, so maybe that would be something that he would be interested in. But basically we're talking about the types of things that are going to alert an emergency responder to equipment, to a radiological source, and help them find that source and identify what it is. So that's the basis for that. For this development. So, but if you think you have a great idea, we're certainly willing to look at it.
Thanks, Kathy. Let's back up and look at just 22B since we're there, if you're able
Okay.
to address that. And it has to do with will you consider other semiconductor materials?
Sure. I mean, we're looking for new and interesting materials. If you can, when you write your proposal, if you have some data to show us, that's even better. But we're always looking for something new and better than what we've already got.
Okay. Well, very good then. I believe we have no other questions for 22 and 23. Thank you very much, Kathy. Let's go ahead and move off to topic 24, which is improving efficiency in the analytical chemistry laboratory. And I believe we have online Dr. Judith Fries. Is that correct?
That is correct. Dr. Lori Metz is going to refer to do this presentation for topic 24.
Okay.
Yes, so one thing I'll just mention before we go into the questions is the topic is pretty broad, saying improving efficiency in the analytical chemistry laboratory. So in particular here, what these topics are and subtopics are written to are analyzing environmental samples within an analytical chemistry laboratory, both stable and radioactive samples for analytes ranging the entire periodic table, so things that would be found in an environmental sample. And so then all of the subtopics revolve around improving efficiency in analyzing environmental samples. So also improving reproducibility. That's another main thing there. That the from sample to from column to column in subtopic A, and then sample to sample, having reproducibility is very important. So I guess we had one question that came in ahead of time that was kind of broad. It wasn't really focused on this topic. But I guess we could answer it. It said how many people apply to, I guess we could answer it to this type of topic. And it seems like anywhere from 2 to 8 people responding to one topic on this in this type. So we could answer it that way. That was the only question that we got on here. I didn't know if there was anything else. Oh.
I'll just walk through the various subtopics really quick. The subtopic A is pretty broad. Of course, elemental and isotopic analysis is very important to what we do, and anything that can speed up current methods or even completely different methods of ways of doing that is part of what subtopic A is about. Subtopic B really deals with reproducibility. It's a very important aspect of the analytical chemistry laboratory, and one issue is typical ways that our column packing is done is not adequate to meet the reproducibility requirements that we were trying to meet in an analytical lab. So that's kind of, we end up having to purchase materials and pack them individually, which is extremely time-consuming and very difficult to do. If these were available, reproducible, that would be kind of what that's looking for. The next step is a bit more broad. It's looking for tools for automation, tools for in time-consuming steps in the laboratory. And what we're talking about there is simple things like you're doing chemistry and you do a separation, and the separation comes out in one chemical matrix and it needs to be transposed into another chemical matrix. And that step takes hours upon hours upon hours. Rapid ways to do these time-consuming steps is really what that topic C is looking at. And lastly, subtopic D, there are commercially available high purity reagents out there, and oftentimes they are not pure enough. Methanol is something that's called out in particular. Typically, reagents, the highest purity commercial reagents are not pure enough, and we have to take them and further purify them, which of course takes a lot of time and effort. And if they were commercially available, to the levels that we need. That's kind of the idea. Methanol is called out in particular, but this is really true across many reagents, from acids to bases to vitamin C, ascorbic acid. Is all of these things are they're high purity available, but they're not good enough for the type of environmental analysis that is being done. So that kind of covers topic 24. Tom Keith is the program manager. Please contact him with specific questions about these. I'll answer what I can if there are any questions available.
We do have one question here. Thank you. This is by environmental samples. Do you mean IAEA type swipes, or are you including WAES? I'm not even sure what those acronyms are. You probably are well aware.
I would say IAEA type swipes is one example of an environmental sample, but not limited to that. It could be a gram of soil. It could be vegetation. It's really a wide range of environmental samples. The IAEA swipe is one example.
Okay. And did you cover here the WAES? The ways?
I'm not actually familiar with that.
I don't know what that is.
Okay. Well, I'll just have to ask the questioner to go ahead and submit that directly in more detail to Thomas Keys there later on. And that was the last question we had for topic 24, so thank you both. I appreciate that. We'll go ahead and move on to topic 25, which is technologies and capabilities associated with handling large volumes of data to support modeling and simulation validation. And I believe we have Jim Pelt on the line here. Jim? We had Jim Peltz on the line here. Jim is here. What we can do is we can move off to, briefly, we can move off here. We'll cover topic 26 with Leslie Casey, and then we can go ahead and move back to topic 25 as we work out the technical issue here with Jim and the phone conversation. Leslie, do we have you available?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi. Topic 26 is technology to facilitate monitoring nuclear explosions, in particular a high reliable compressor. It's my understanding that no questions were received on this, and so I will just briefly describe what we're looking for. Obviously, there are many compressors on the market. However, they do not have a long mean time between failure. And we are aware that there are compressors that have been built in an R&D environment for one single applications, but like flying on the Hubble spacecraft and things like that, but they're like $100,000 a piece. So this seems like a really good topic to be for the SBIR, because basically we know prototypes exist, but they're not available on the market. So we're looking for a very high reliable compressor, and we said, nominally more than at least 5 years, last for 5 years, and then preferably 10 or higher, of course, would be even better. These are for use in a variety of environments: aircraft, high vibration, truck bed, or on-site inspection, ground pumping. So ideally, you would have one compressor that would work in all environments, because this would facilitate the maintenance chain. But the Air Force was not convinced that that was possible, and so we broke it into three, A, B, and C, and we listed the specifications so that if you met any one of them, it would be helpful. If you could do all three in one, that would be ideal. And that's really what it is about, trying to get a very high reliable compressor that would work in a variety of environments and have very high mean time between failures.
Very good, Leslie. And I don't believe we have any questions that have come in. And if that covers your area, why don't we go ahead and move back? I believe we have the audio difficulty worked out here, and we have Jim Peltz on the line for topic 25.
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks, Jim. You're loud and clear.
So essentially I had one question related to my area, and it was this potential project eligible for fast track? And the answer is yes. And since there's no other questions, I'll kind of just talk about a little bit more about what we're looking for and how I would think you would be able to have a combined proposal through phase 1 through phase 2, that sort of thing. So essentially what we're really looking for in terms of a database management tool is one that's designed specifically in mind for verification and validation and uncertainty quantification purposes. That's essentially to better support the predictive simulation that we're looking to stand up in support of the high explosive testing campaign. And so I think some of the key objectives that would need to be addressed would be sort of to make it web accessible and be able to implement various standards and requirements and best practices for verification and validation and uncertainty quantification that would allow the scientists and engineers to really assess the quality of their modeling and simulation capabilities. And to have this thing to be able to provide a technical exchange and collaboration that would enable the credible computational models and simulations to really be evaluated. And this is an ongoing challenge to separately evaluate the effectiveness of these models and from the data, because they're really, the results produced really rely heavily on the interaction between the two. So this type of data management tool would need to address that. It would have to be able to handle multi-phenomena data, optical, RF, seismic, those types of things. Since we're looking to develop a predictive capability, it would have to be able to easily import and extract these types of data. And so I think if you were going to try to go with a combined, it would be one thing to demonstrate the setup and sort of the data capabilities, data management capabilities in the phase 1 process with a particular non-sensitive data set. But I think if you were going to really be able to combine and have a shot at the fast track, you would have to sort of understand what we're trying to do with these data and the models within the high explosive testing campaign. So that would mean you need to have sort of an understanding of what we're doing in that area. If you don't, then I wouldn't recommend doing that. That's basically it. If there's nothing else.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. We do have one question that came in here. What are the data file formats for the experiment and simulation data?
It's a variety of formats. I could give additional details. I'm not familiar with everything, but there's lots of various formats.
Okay, very good, and they can follow up with you as appropriate too. And one quick question here: might sample data sets be available during phase 1?
Yes, I think I could get that information. I could make that available.
Okay, Jim, I think that covers it for topic 25. And I will tell you we've covered topic 26. And topic 27, we were just told that we will not have anybody representing this topic Again, if you have any questions that are specific to topic 27, you can email those to Victoria Franks, as is listed here on the webinar and our topics document. So let's move on to our last topic for the day, topic 28, which is technical nuclear forensics advanced packaging. And I believe we have a remote speaker calling in on this one. Is that right, Jake?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
My name is Jake Benzine. I'm at Savannah River National Laboratory, and I'm filling in for Dr. Keese, who is the Nuclear Forensics Program Manager in the NNSA Office of Nuclear Detonation Detection, and unfortunately, he was not able to attend the webinar today. So, the advanced packaging, topic 28, I had one question come in that was, what is the current strategy basically for DOE to make this a reality? And I guess probably the short answer to that is that DOE is using the SBIR program and everything that entails to make sure that that this topic has the best chance of succeeding and becoming commercially viable. So since I only had one question beforehand, I'm just going to quickly review the topic and maybe add some extra information. For nuclear forensics, I think it's important to consider, at least for this particular topic, that evidence can basically be anything that is radiological in nature itself or may be contaminated with radiological material. So something as maybe silly as smoke detectors that were involved somehow in a crime, if they have radioactive material in them, could be considered nuclear forensic evidence and would then have to be packaged and moved according to DOE safety, DOE and DOT nuclear safety protocols. So it's important to keep in mind that that these can be basically any items, and that if it is a full-blown sort of more what you would think of in a nuclear forensic case, that the materials can be stored for a significant amount of time, and that the packaging would need to be compatible with being in some levels of radiation fields for up to maybe a decade or so. One of the big issues that we actually got feedback from potential end users deals with the second bullet item, the surface static charge. It turns out that if you pick up this radon-laden dust, it means that the packages can't be cleared by the health physics group, wherever they may be, and so that definitely slows down crime scene processing. The third bullet item, as nuclear forensic techniques become more sensitive, research is showing that there are molecular signatures that can be obtained from the surface of certain types of samples, and that if the packaging material itself outgasses with the types of aromatic compounds that are listed in the topic, they can either interfere with the analysis of those chemicals or possibly even displace them and damage the actual signature or the ability to get signature information from them. We sort of talked about being able to make custom sizes and shapes to suit whatever the evidence may be. The ability to control the atmosphere, one that is to preserve sensitive samples, whatever that may be, whether they're air sensitive or moisture sensitive, and then how the package comes in contact with the contents. You might think about a fingerprint on a soda can, a non-porous surface. It would be very easily smeared, so you would want to either maybe inflate the package so that it didn't rub, or somehow, actually created a vacuum so that it touched once but then did not move after that. And then sort of labeling, kind of common permanent markers. And then obviously if we can see inside, that makes life a lot easier for all involved. And then from radiological control, you want the material, the packaging system to be robust. And with that, I guess if we have any questions.
Jake, I don't see any questions being texted in at this moment. I think you covered it very well. I appreciate your insight on that. Let me point out that on the screen there that the topic manager for this is not Victoria Franks. It is Thomas Keys. It is correct in the document, the topics document online, but we will, let me just read this off to you. It's Thomas, Thomas, KIESS @nnsa.doe.gov. So that is the person that you'll want to go ahead and email your specific questions to for topic 28. And if you do, let me go ahead and just mention to you again that tomorrow, webinar 3, that will cover topics 29 through 40. For this release, we have 40 topics. This webinar covered topics 16 through 28. Yesterday's webinar was 1 through 15, and tomorrow's webinar, if you want to register, you can find the registration link on our website, and you can register for the tomorrow's webinar. The web link for this recorded webinar will be made available to you and be posted on our website. We'll send this to you in an email if you are registered for that. And do not forget that the funding opportunity announcement for this release will open on August 12th. And we'll have a webinar specifically focused on the specifics of an FOA on the 16th of August as well. So Manny, let me turn it on over to you to close out.
Okay, and I just want to thank everybody for attending. We didn't have as many questions today, so hoping this format is still useful, even if we're just hearing from the program managers. But please let us know if you have any other suggestions for improving when we announce topics to help clarify to the small business community what DOE is looking for in these areas. So thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, and this concludes our webinar.